Good evening, my name is James. I'm a fisherman. Today I'm going to show you guys how to rig up basic, I like to call them panfish, bass, crappie, bluegill rigs. How all this got started was there was a local forum and there was some chatter on there. I showed a few pictures and people were like, hey, you from Portland, Oregon, where'd you catch the fish at? I told them how. Then a few people said, oh, me and my husband, me and the kids, we want to learn how. No one will teach us. I told them there are plenty of videos online to learn from. They didn't like them. I don't know why. So I'm gonna try my hand at it. The only thing I would tell you is I don't know how to do all the fancy editing and whatnot, so I'll have to try and make them quick so they're not too long. So anyways, what I would say is this is for, I would say, bass, crappie, bluegill, panfish, catfish, whatever. First thing you need to do is get you a, if you're not already in it, get you a decent pole. I would say this Berkeley lightning rod. It is a 2 to 6 foot pound. It's an ultralight. This thing works great for bass, crappie, bluegill, trout, stuff like that, perch, and whatnot. The way I have it set up is I have a bobber, a swivel, some BB shot lead, and a hook. So, and the way I also have it set up is I like to run braided line on the reel to a monofilament leader. So, quick, fast. If you're trying to get into this, and this is the way I do it. I do it other ways too, but this is the simplest way I do it. You need a bobber, you need a swivel, you need lead. You can use your teeth, but I suggest you get some electrical shears and some needle nose pliers, preferably stainless steel. These are supposed to be stainless steel, rust resistant, saltwater resistant, and you see the rust on them. I fish a lot of saltwater, I rinse them and they still rust, but they still work. So quick, fast. I like to say quick, fast. I don't know why, but you guys gotta get used to it. So this bobber is nice if you are used to fishing. It slides up and down your line. And you can do different configurations with it. But if you're not familiar with it, if you're not I don't know, decent fisherman, I'd suggest these pop these pop on and off, and they adjust like that. I like those two. It just depends on what I'm grabbing at the time. So anyways, and I also, you want to use a small, I personally like to use a small enough swivel. That way if you do use these ones, you can slide this over like so. And then if you need to change from a hook to a jig, or you want to get rid of that one and switch it, you can cut the line, slide this over, swap it out if it gets all right at where it don't work. So how I like to do it is take the braid. I'm gonna cut this. I call it a basic fisherman's knot. I don't know the name of the knot, but I call it a basic fisherman's knot. I tell you, well, this is a basic fisherman's knot with extra loop in it. Let me see if this, I'm looking over at my phone to see if I'm making sure you guys can see this also. Basic, I take this through there. So I run that loop like that. I do a few twists in it. Some people are good with their fingers. I'm not. So I got to do it this way. Good with their fingers twisting the line, you know what I mean? Someone's going to make a joke about that comment. Anyways, I like to do that. So you get these twists in it like so. I like to take it, run this through there. And with the braid, I like to do one extra loop, which, like I said, I'm sure there's a name to this knot. I don't know what the name of it is. And then I get that tight, and you pull that tight like so, slide it down. I've never had this not fail, so that's the knot I use for that. And then I like to use Maxim Ultra Green for my leader. This is 20-pound test, but I have this guy full of it from 40, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10. I like to use 10-pound tests. So depends on where I'm going fishing. I like to pull a decent amount off, cut it, same thing. Hopefully I'm not boring you guys. You know, this video is 5 minutes. I haven't accomplished anything, but maybe that's what people like. That's what you guys may like about it, is that you can take your time and watch it. I don't know. So anyways, same thing, but with the monofilament one, you don't have to make that same twist, and you don't have to make that extra loop. You just put it through one time and wet it a little bit so it don't burn, and you pull it through. So you get that knot. And then I do that same knot if it's mono. I do that same knot with my hook. And for these fish, bass, crappie, bluegill, and whatnot, I like to use, I don't know what size, I think it's a 1/0 hook. I like to use that size hook. And same thing. Now, if I was fishing for different species, I might do different knot styles, but same thing, it's basic. Twist. I usually use my mouth when I do this, but because I'm doing it on video, I don't want to look like a fool. But maybe I'd do it faster if I was doing it that way. And run it through there, grab it. Sloppy me. Grab it, pull it tight. Like I said, these are knots I tie for, I'm just doing a single hook for pretty much every species I fish for. Every species, from sturgeon, from the smallest thing, trout, bass, crappie, bluegill, to sturgeon. I just use heavier line. So I have this set up right here. Then I like to take a little weight. A lot of people like to use these in their mouth and squeeze them, but I guess with the lead and stuff, you don't really want to be doing that. So I try not to do that. Done it for years. Put the little lead on it, and voila. So I have it. And pretty much, you set this up like that. You put a worm on it. You can put a jig on it. If you use a jig fly, you put a jig fly on the end of it. And I like doing it. So essentially, if you get hung, you snag the ground, you force it, it should break at this swivel, or it should break at this hook. You shouldn't lose your barber, you shouldn't lose your swivel, and then you just retie from this way down. Put whatever lure you're on, you're back to fishing. Now, the way I like to fish these, let me see how long this video is. It's 8 minutes and 20 seconds. Maybe I'll start another one. Like I said, I'm new to this stuff. Just trying to help a few local people out that want to learn how to fish, or want to be shown. So I don't got all that fancy editing stuff. So the video is what it is. But that's how I tie up my basic. But this is my go-to method for bass, crappie, bluegill, trout. You know, if I'm fishing barber, worm. Even back in days, you used to be able to catch steelhead this way, but you just use bigger line. But this is my basic spinning reel fishing pole setup for those species, and I catch a lot this way. Like I said, I'm James. I'm a fisherman, and I'll be back. And this sets up like this. So I'll have a handful of rods set up like this, one for me and one for the boys. That's it for this video. I will try to explain how to fish this setup on my next one.